Hey everyone, just here to record a quick follow-up video to my last one on facial expressions. So you can see that video in the link below, but just as a quick recap, I went over 5 different facial expressions that all represent unique emotions within every human being across the planet. So if you see anybody make one of these facial expressions, and in fact even animals make some of these facial expressions, you can know that the person or animal is feeling one of these emotions, or that they are trying to convey to you that they're feeling one of these emotions, right? So if somebody does something like that, then they're either trying to tell you that they're afraid or they're authentically afraid. Yeah, so I wanted to, in this video, show you guys somebody else making some of these facial expressions. So let's take a look at somebody else making the fear facial expression. So that's a pretty good example of the fear facial expression. We went over that one in the last video, and of course when I act it out it looks completely ridiculous and exaggerated, but it's fun to do, so here it goes. And that's fear. And like I say, mine's exaggerated and ridiculous, and actors are able to do it in a way that is appropriate, and that's why they're actors and I'm not. So anyway, moving on to the 2 new facial expressions of this video, and I titled this video 2 dangerous facial expressions, but in fact only one of these facial expressions is what I would consider dangerous, and one of the old facial expressions, actually the disgust facial expression, is the second dangerous expression. So the disgust expression was something like this, right? And disgust is actually part snarl, right? And that's part of why it's a dangerous facial expression. You'd much rather have somebody be angry with you than look at you like you were something disgusting, right? If somebody looks at you like you're disgusting, then they're much more likely to do something bad to you. They're much more likely to hurt you. And that's why disgust is a dangerous facial expression. And so the last and final facial expression, universal facial expression, is also a dangerous facial expression. And it looks like this. And that one is called contempt. And it's a feeling of superiority, which is part and parcel with an implication of inferiority. So I feel superior to your inferiority, right? That's contempt. And it's dangerous because if you think somebody is lesser than you, again, you're more likely or able to harm them. In fact, contempt is, I think of contempt as the emotional permission to harm somebody. And that's why contempt is the second dangerous facial expression. So we have disgust, which is part snarl, and we have contempt, which is superiority. And since I'm better than you, I can hurt you. Anyway, so let's just see a few more of these facial expressions out in the wild so you don't have to see my terrible acting skills impersonate them for you. So first, I want to show you a video of somebody who's been a little bit popular in the media. No comment on that, but I noticed him make an enjoyment facial expression. So here goes that.
I spoke to the head of the EU, to the president of the EU, and I'm grateful to many people in the EU, and I'm grateful to the EU, and I'm grateful.
So that was President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, and he was making a enjoyment facial expression. And you can tell that it was authentic because you could see the little crow's feet around his eyes. You can see his eyes kind of tense up a little bit. And that differentiates some genuine smiles from some fake smiles, or it's at least a semi-reliable way. Obviously, some people can just make crow's feet around their eyes, and that's maybe not genuine. But his looked genuine. It's tough to tell also because you can't see exactly when he's saying it because I don't speak Ukrainian, but it seemed like a genuine expression of gratitude, and along with gratitude comes enjoyment. So with that, let's move on to our next example of in the wild facial expression.
Canada and our allies will defend democracy. We are taking these actions today to stand against authoritarianism. The people of Ukraine, like all people, must be free to determine their own future. To stand against authoritarianism. Against authoritarianism.
Right, and so that was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and he was making the contemptuous facial expression. Right, he's talking about some sanctions that he's going to impose on Russia, further sanctions, in fact, and these sanctions are meant to harm. Right, they're meant to be a kind of coercion, and in order to be able to do that, you might need to feel contempt for authoritarian governments or something like that. Right. So it's completely reasonable that he would be making this facial expression here. And with that, let's look at one more. Let's look at one more example of an in the wild facial expression.
Rates in the world. We've all made sacrifices. And yes, it was difficult. The lives of 36,000 Canadians were taken by COVID-19. These were grandparents, parents, children, friends, and neighbors. But throughout it all, we were there for each other. The lives of 36,000 Canadians. The lives of 36,000 Canadians.
So, yeah, not sure why you would make that facial expression when talking about the loss of lives of your countrymen, but there he is. There he is, contempt on his face, talking about the sacrifices of many of his countrymen. Oh well, at least I don't live in... Wait, where is he? Talking about the sacrifices of many of his countrymen. Of his countrymen.